I might do that. All right. All yours. I want you to imagine for a moment a world in which a 5th grader can spend the next month, the last of his or her elementary school career, preparing for 6th grade, all of the changes that are going to come, and finishing up content for the year, instead of studying for and preparing for a standardized test. Now, the reality of it is, we have all been that 5th grader, and some of us continue to waste precious class time taking tests. The standardized test began in 7th century China and has been prevalent in the United States since the 1800s. In 2002, the United States mandated standardized testing in all 50 states using the No Child Left Behind Act. However, in 2020, the United States allowed for cancellations of certain standardized testing due to the unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic. These cancellations should be permanent. There's a better way to assess student achievement than standardized testing. According to EWA, as many as 62% of teachers say they spend too much time preparing students to take standardized tests. 2 to 3 weeks can be spent in preparation for these tests. And this preparation is not only content review, it's also learning the software that will be used to administer the tests, something that these students will never see again. And then an additional week is used to actually giving the test. This week of testing takes away from important extracurriculars for elementary school students, such as art, music, PE, and of course recess, something that is necessary for developing brains. At the high school level, taking a math or science EOC or AP test actually takes away from English or history class, something that affects students and teachers alike. At Troy Buchanan High School, band and choir classes are forced to relocate to smaller cramped classrooms or storage rooms to have class because of noise complaints from other classes that are giving tests. The ACT and the SAT seek to measure aptitude, while other tests claim to measure knowledge and the information that a student has gained over the course of the semester or the year. In reality, standardized tests do a very poor job of capturing intelligence of test takers. One study found that 20% of school-age students experience testing anxiety. And that testing anxiety is proven to lower testing scores in children as young as elementary schoolers. But in reality, it's hard to find a student who doesn't feel that they perform worse under pressure. The environment in which these tests are given creates unnecessary stress for the student, therefore lowering scores. That is not a fair way to score aptitude or intelligence. According to Forbes.com, high school GPAs were found to be 5 times stronger than the ACT at predicting success. This statistic might sound surprising, except for when you think about how these scores are given. The ACT judges aptitude based on a 4-hour window on one morning. This could be affected by any number of things, including what you ate for breakfast, whether or not you got a lot of sleep the night before, or personal stressors in your life. However, GPA is made out of 4 years of classes and truly can measure a student's dedication to their academics. Standardized tests provide unreliable data and should not hold weight within schools. According to Khan Academy, standardized tests at all levels include questions grounded in the real world. However, how are we able to tell what is the real world for all students, especially in the MAP test across the state of Missouri or the ACT across the entire nation? Something that is reality to one student may be a completely foreign concept to another. Standardization is unfair. English language learners or ELL students statistically perform lower on standardized testing, not because of a lack of intelligence, but because of mistranslation or communication errors. From a financial standpoint, the ACT is $60 per test, and the SAT is $55, not counting the writing section, which can be extremely unrealistic for a student hoping to take one of these tests 3 or 4 or 5 times. And while you may say the ACT provides waivers for students who are financially needy, this is true. The ACT offers 2 free tests and the ACT 4, but only if the applicant qualifies for financial aid. So if a student has the financial means to take this test, but is unwilling to drop $60 or does not qualify for these waivers, they may be caught in the middle and unable to take the test as many times as they want to. But a study by ACT.org found that on average, scores improve 2.9 points upon retake. The ACT isn't measuring aptitude or intelligence. It's measuring how well you can afford to take the test multiple times. And this is even including additional aids such as tutors, classes, or practice tests that you can buy. Standardized tests are biased, and they include biased questions at all levels. And college admission tests are discriminatory against people who might not have the financial need to get a waiver or might not have the financial means to take the test multiple times. While standardized testing is often regarded as the only way to measure a student's aptitude or achievement, studies have shown that there are better ways. A method called multiple measures and a method called portfolios both used a combination of tests, written exams, essays, and projects from throughout the entire class to create a score for the final instead of an EOC or a MAP test. This, similarly to the GPA, makes a lot more sense as it's not one day or 1 week of testing, it's the entire year. Something that is more doable for a college application test, such as the ACT or SAT, is to create a low-stress environment for these tests. When you enter an ACT test, the stakes are very high because of the script, the forms you have to fill out, and just the overall tension in the room. But by creating longer gaps in between the individual sections and a less formal script for the proctor to read, the stress can actually be lowered in these situations. The current system of standardized testing is deeply flawed, and it needs to be reconsidered. The annual standardized test should be reformed into something helpful for teachers and students. And the ACT and SAT scores are inadequate for measuring intelligence and aptitude. A different approach must be considered to end one-size-fits-all testing.